Armen Levack, 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports, joined by Cleveland Indians play-by-play radio man Jim Rosenhaus with Armen Levack at Indians Radio on Twitter. And Jim, last night, 16 innings. The Indians eventually beat the Yankees. What was your big takeaway out of this one?
Well, I think a Yankees ball club that's still struggling to score runs. I know they got 4 runs last night, but I know coming in they had really struggled against the Blue Jays over the weekend, and were held in check by a very good Indian starter. Probably flies under the radar a little bit in Carlos Carrasco, but just the 2 home runs to get it to extra innings. But then shut out baseball for 6 more in extra innings after the Yankees had tied it up. But for an Indians team that is kind of on the outside looking in, playoff-wise, they've played better baseball, and they're just trying to play well down the stretch here after a bunch of moves right around the trade deadline. And it was a real encouraging win for them against, I think, still a Yankees team that's going to be in it to the end.
When you look at this game last night, Jim, do you credit Carrasco, or do you look at the Yankees and say they're just out of gas right now?
Well, considering Carrasco in his prior 2 starts allowed 3 hits and 1 run total in 18 innings, 3 hits in 18 innings, I'm going to go with Carrasco. He's been red hot, has had a good year, has had stretches in the past where he's done this, and he's been tremendous. And actually, I'm going to guess he was disappointed last night, regardless of the team he was facing. So tonight, another tough assignment for New York. Danny Salazar has been throwing the ball extremely well. So I think for the Yankees, you're looking at a team that's running into some pretty good pitching. That's the strongest part of the Indians team by far. They have good young starting pitching, and I think it showed last night.
Jim Rosenhaus, voice of the Indians with Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team, making us feel a little bit better about the New York Yankees today.
Right until he brought up tonight's pitcher, and then it went right back down.
Don't worry about that. I want to stay on the positives. Jim, what did you think about Luis Severino? You've been around baseball a long time. This kid that the Yankees have a lot of stock in. What was your takeaway in his second Major League appearance?
I liked him a bunch. I think any team would be happy to have him. What was impressive was he was on the ropes in the first 2 innings and had thrown, I think, 43, 44 pitches in the first 2 innings, and you thought, there's no way this kid makes it out of the 3rd or 4th inning at the rate he's going. But he limited damage. The Indians only got 1 run in the first and another in the second when they could have gotten more. And that's impressive because he's not going to have his best stuff every time out, but if he battles and does that type of thing where he keeps his team in the game, then he's going to be just fine. I mean, he's just 21 years old, for crying out loud, and he really looked like a veteran out there last night. The stuff is tremendous. I mean, everything just moves, and he's got the great velocity. So there's a lot to like there, and then the ability to compete, limit damage, not, I guess, keep his poise. It would be the best way to put it. He really kept his poise well, and for a young kid, there's a lot to like there.
Jim, when you touched on Danny Salazar briefly, but the Yankees face him tonight, CC on the mound for the Yankees. What do you expect out of Salazar this evening against this Yankee lineup?
Well, he's been going very well. Not quite as good as Carrasco, but pretty close. They've been following each other in the rotation since the All-Star break, and it's been one good start after another. Another power arm like Carrasco last night, fastball in the mid-90s, easy. And then a real good split change, keeps hitters off balance. Where he gets in trouble sometimes, he'll leave some pitches out over the plate. And obviously the Yankees hit home runs as well as any team in baseball, so that's the danger point for him. But when he gets it rolling, look out. I know this is the first time that he'll face the Yankees, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares tonight, but he's been throwing the ball extremely well.
What is the vibe on the sports scene in Cleveland with the Cavaliers as successful as they are? The Browns had so much hype last year with the drafting of Johnny Manziel, and then the Indians in the mix. How are those 3 teams in the dynamics right now in that city?
You know, it's interesting. The Browns are always 1A, 1B, 1C, no matter how bad they've been, and they have been awful. And just, I mean, I think they had 10 coaches in 3 years or something. It's just been, since the team came back and was reinvented, they just have not been good. Yet the fans love them here. It is a Browns town. There is no question about that. Now, when LeBron came back and the Cavs go to the NBA Finals, all on board for the Cavaliers, no question.
So
this town in the mid-'90s was a great baseball town, but you got to remember there was no Browns for several years, and the Cavaliers didn't have LeBron. That's when the Indians opened a new ballpark, had great clubs, and sold out 455 straight games. It's not like that anymore. They haven't won nearly as much as they used to. There was a lot of expectations going into this season. I think people were pretty excited. Sports Illustrated picked them to go to the World Series, and it just hasn't panned out. So there's a little bit of frustration, I think, fan-wise toward the Indians. But the last couple of weeks have been a little bit better, and there's some promise for the future. So they fit in there somewhere, but the Browns will always be tops, and then certainly LeBron and what he's done would be second, and then the Indians trying to get that market share a little bit if they can.
Jim, isn't that interesting that football's king still, even in a market where the Browns have struggled as much as they have as of late?
Well, there are a couple of things at play. The Hall of Fame's right down the road, and this is football territory. You go to high school games on a Friday night, and a good high school game between teams that are sending kids to Ohio State and Michigan and that type of thing, you're looking at 10 to 15,000 fans on a Friday night going to their games, and the state playoff games are played down at Ohio State. So there's football in the blood here, and I think that's part of it. The Browns have a great history. I mean, Jim Brown, one of the best ever, and I think that's where a lot of it comes from. It's been different since they came back this second time after moving to Baltimore and then getting a team again. It's been a little bit different. I think part of that is because they really have struggled one-loss-wise, but it is football territory, and I know it's like that in a lot of towns across America. The NFL has a great thing going, and certainly does that here despite not many wins each season.
When Jim, interesting story has been floating around now that Nick Swisher wasn't exactly welcomed or liked as much in Cleveland as he was in New York. Did he wear it thin, his welcome quickly? What was the story with that?
Well, when he got here, he was welcomed with open arms, and he dove right in, and a credit to him, jumped in charity-wise off the field and came here at a time when the Indians needed a higher-profile free agent to come here. They had come off 4 consecutive seasons where they were well below 500. 3 of those seasons, 90-plus losses. Nothing was happening right for the franchise. They hired Terry Francona, but he needed some players to beef things up a little bit in terms of excitement, and Swish was that guy. And it was great. The first year, they made the playoffs. They made a great run at the end. He was a key to that in September. But then last year, some injury problems started to crop up, and he just never performed the way people were expecting. And in his defense, I think the Yankees situation was perfect for him because he wasn't asked to carry the ball club. In a lot of ways, a lot of people thought he would carry this club, but he's never been that type of player. He's been a very good, consistent major league player for a long time, but not a player who's going to carry a ball club. And at times, people were expecting that. So when that didn't happen, the fans turned on him. There's no question. And it's a shame because he did great things in the community here. He tried to get the enthusiasm for Indians baseball at a fever pitch, and it worked for a while. But physically, he just wasn't able to do it. Had double knee surgery at the end of last season was a great indicator of what he was going through. Tried to get back as quick as he could, and I'm not surprised that there's some frustration there. I haven't seen any of the reports, but I'm going to guess that he wasn't exactly thrilled with the way things ended here, and that's a shame because he had the best of intentions when he got here. I think he tried his best, gave his best effort, but if your body breaks down, your body breaks down, and unfortunately he couldn't do the things that he wanted to do.
Great insight, Cleveland Indians play-by-play man Jim Rosenhaus with Armen Levack on 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports, at Indians Radio on Twitter. And Jim, here we go again tonight. Yankees, Indians, looking forward to it. 7:10 right here on The Team, and I know you guys will be in the booth once again after a late one last night. Jim, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.